Hello, everybody, and welcome back for this week's Toolbox safety topic. Before we get started, make sure that you give me that thumbs up down below to encourage me to make more videos like this. Also, subscribe to my channel where you'll find additional videos and be notified when new videos are released. Well, today's topic is on eye and face protection in construction. Our eyes and faces are some of the most vulnerable parts of our body, and they are exposed to numerous hazards on a job site. We'll discuss some of these hazards, how to mitigate them, and apply the hierarchy of controls to keep everyone safe. Today we'll be talking about common hazards and mitigation plans. The first one I'd like to talk about is flying debris. That would be wood chips, metal fragments, fasteners, nails, screws, that type of thing. And the hazard that exists is high-speed particles that can strike the eyes or face, causing serious injury or blindness. The mitigation plan would include, following the hierarchy of controls, is elimination. Use equipment designed to minimize debris, such as laser cutting tools instead of manual saws. Engineering controls. Install guards or barriers on tools like saws, grinders, and nail guns. Administrative controls. Train workers on proper tool use and maintenance. Restrict access to areas where flying debris is common. And finally, PPE. Wear ANSI-approved safety glasses or goggles with side shields. For heavy debris, use full face shields. Next, second one, let's talk about dust and fine particles. That would be like concrete dust, drywall dust, or anything that may contain particles such as silica. And the hazard is dust can irritate or damage the eyes and may contain hazardous materials like silica. The mitigation plan would be elimination. Use prefabricated materials to reduce on-site cutting or grinding. Engineering controls. Utilize water suppression systems or HEPA vacuums to control dust generation. Administrative controls might include implementing dust mitigation work practices, such as cutting outdoors or in designated areas. And finally, PPE. Wear sealed goggles, especially when working in dusty conditions. The third one is chemical splashes, and that would be like solvents, adhesives, and cleaning agents. And the hazard would be chemicals that can cause burns, irritation, or permanent eye damage. Now, how do we mitigate these? Number one, following the hierarchy of controls, would be elimination. Substitute hazardous chemicals with less dangerous alternatives when possible. Engineering controls. Use closed systems for mixing or dispensing chemicals. Administrative controls. Post proper signage and train workers in safe handling of chemicals. Provide eye wash stations nearby. And finally, PPE. Use chemical-resistant safety goggles or face shields when working with chemicals. Next, let's talk about UV and infrared radiation. And that would be from welding, cutting, or some grinding operation. And the hazard is exposure to UV or IR radiation, which can cause burns or welder's flash, leading to severe eye damage. Mitigation plan would include, number one, elimination. Use automated welding machines when possible. Engineering controls. Set up welding screens or curtains to protect nearby workers. Administrative controls would include to enforce safe distances between welding operations and other workers. And finally, PPE. Wear welding helmets with appropriate filtered lenses. Use safety goggles underneath if necessary. And next we talk about impact from tools or equipment. In the hazards, tools or materials like hammers or falling objects can hit the face or eyes. The mitigation plan would include Elimination. Store heavy or dangerous tools properly and minimize overhead work when possible. Engineering controls would include installing tool tethering systems to prevent drops. Administrative controls would include designating safe zones and avoid working directly beneath overhead operations. And finally, PPE. Wear hard hats with integrated face shields or goggles. Finally, arc flash or electrical hazards. Electrical discharge can cause burns, blindness, or other injuries. Mitigation plan would include elimination, de-energize circuits before starting work. Engineering controls use insulated tools and barriers. Administration controls would provide proper training and signage and implement a lockout-tagout program. And finally, use arc-rated face shields and safety glasses. Now, we've talked about hierarchy of controls in the previous, but let's take a look at the 5 levels of hierarchical control. Number 1 is the elimination. That's to remove the hazard entirely, and that's not always possible. Number 2, substitution. Replace hazardous activities or materials with safer alternatives. Number 3, engineering controls. Design barriers or controls to isolate hazards. Number 4, administrative controls. Establish safe work practices and ensure training of employees. And number 5, PPE. Use appropriate protective equipment as the last line of defense. And what are some of the takeaways from this? Eye and face injuries are preventable with proper controls and PPE. Always identify hazards before starting a task and take appropriate precautions. And make sure that your PPE fits well and is in good condition. If you use this topic on a job site, here are some things you can ask during your PTP meeting or during your safety meeting. What hazards do you encounter daily that could affect your eyes or face? And are there any gaps in the current protective measures? All right, boys and girls, that's going to be it for today. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for watching. Make sure that you give me that thumbs up down below to encourage me to make more videos of this type. Also, subscribe to the channel where you will find additional information and be notified of the newest video releases. Anyway, we're going to call it a day on that. As always, take care of yourself because you're number 1. Look out for your co-workers and help ensure their safety. And most importantly, have a grateful day. And we'll see you in the next one. Safety is all on you. It's all on you, man.